Ibu Reni, masuk, masuk ya. Oke, kita mulai ya teman-teman. Selamat pagi semuanya. Semoga kita semua sehat selalu ya. Oke, wait. Perkenalkan, nama saya Iga. Saya di sini sebagai MC webinar Suarasa Edu Series. Bersuara dengan rasa, belajar dengan makna hari ini. Nah, di sini saya tidak sendiri. Di sini saya bersama Kak Jasmine sebagai moderator dan penerjemah bahasa isyarat, eh, sebagai penerjemah bahasa Indonesia dan bahasa Inggris, serta ada Kak Widya sebagai juru bahasa isyarat, serta ada Dr. Joanna Korkelain sebagai presenter hari ini. Nah, hari ini kita akan melanjutkan webinar Suarasa Edu Series yang kedua. Suarasa Edu Series ini adalah salah satu program WKCP dalam mengembangkan dan berbagi ilmu mengenai difabel, selain podcast. Sebagai informasi, WKCP adalah komunitas berbasis di Yogyakarta yang mewadahi orang tua dan anak-anak dengan cerebral palsy, berfokus pada berbagi pengetahuan, pengalaman, pendampingan, serta advokasi hak-hak penyandang SIPI melalui program edukasi dan pendampingan mandiri. Suarasa Edu Series ini akan terus berlanjut. Suarasa Edu Series ini akan terus berlanjut, dilaksanakan setiap bulan pada hari Sabtu, minggu keempat, jam 10.30. Informasi mengenai Edu Series ini bisa dilihat di media sosial WKCP. Jadi, Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman bisa mengikuti baik Instagram ataupun Facebook WKCP. Serta, setiap Suarasa Edu Series dilaksanakan akan direkam, dan rekamannya bisa ditonton di YouTube WKCP. Nah, di Suarasa Edu Series yang kedua ini, kita akan belajar mengenai apa itu komunikasi, apa saja kesulitan dalam berkomunikasi, tentang kebutuhan komunikasi yang kompleks, serta apa yang bisa dilakukan untuk membantu belajar berkomunikasi. Selanjutnya, saya akan menjelaskan tata tertib. Tata tertib eh, Zoom webinar Suarasa Edu Series ini. Yang pertama, mic Zoom tetap dalam kondisi mati agar sesi tetap jernih. Yang kedua, menyalakan kamera jika memungkinkan. Yang ketiga, cari posisi duduk ternyaman dan siapkan catatan. Yang keempat, tetap aktif berinteraksi selama acara. Yang kelima, gunakan fitur raise hand untuk bertanya. Nah, dalam sesi bertanya akan dilaksanakan ketika presentasi telah selesai. Penanya bisa bertanya di kolom chat atau raise hand. Untuk penanya yang raise hand akan didahulukan untuk pertanyaannya dijawab. Sebelum masuk ke sesi pemaparan materi, Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman bisa menyalakan kamera terlebih dahulu untuk kita melakukan sesi foto sebagai kenang-kenangan. Ayo Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman semua mengaktifkan kamera. Kita akan foto bersama.
We will take picture first, Joanna. Wait, I will make it gallery first. Hold on. Oke. Bapak Ibu kita foto dulu ya, biar di awal, biar masih kelihatan. Nanti saya yang foto. Oke. Siap, kameranya yang belum dibuka bisa dibuka dulu. Kalau yang belum bisa dibuka nggak apa-apa. Kita siap dulu. 1, 2, 3. Tahan. Oke, sebentar sekali lagi. Bentar sekali lagi ya. Bentar, saya simpan dulu. Sekali lagi. Kayaknya boleh ganti. Yang baru masuk, silahkan bisa dinyalakan kameranya. Kita foto dulu sebelum mulai. Oke, siap. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile. Tahan. Oke. Thank you.
Oke, terima kasih Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman. Nah, nah, untuk sesi pemaparan materinya, saya akan serahkan ke Kak Jasmine sebagai moderator. Kepada Kak Jasmine, saya silakan.
Baik, terima kasih banyak Iga. Alright, thank you very much, Iga. Selamat pagi Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman sekalian. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Saya Jasmine yang akan menjadi moderator pada sesi pemaparan materi serta diskusi tanya jawab nanti. I'm Jasmine, and I will be your moderator for today's presentation and Q&A discussion. Untuk membantu kelancaran komunikasi, saya akan berbicara menggunakan dua bahasa sekaligus, yaitu bahasa Indonesia dan Inggris selama sesi ini berlangsung. To help with our communication, I will be speaking in both Indonesian and English throughout our sessions. Begitu juga untuk sesi tanya jawab nanti, jika teman-teman ingin bertanya, sangat dipersilakan menggunakan bahasa Indonesia. Nanti saya akan membantu menerjemahkan pertanyaan dari teman-teman dan juga jawaban dari narasumber kita. So in the Q&A session later, feel free to ask in Bahasa because I will also be providing translations for your questions along with the answers. Namun, mohon diingat teman-teman, jika teman-teman ingin berbicara dalam bahasa Indonesia, mohon sampaikan 1 sampai 2 kalimat terlebih dahulu. Jangan berbicara terburu-buru agar saya dapat menerjemahkannya secara lengkap kepada pembicara kita. An important reminder here, if you would like to speak in Indonesia, please speak 1 to 2 sentences at a time so that I can translate everything clearly and completely for our speaker. Nah, sebelum kita berlanjut pada topik webinar menarik hari ini yang membahas seputar komunikasi, izinkan saya untuk memperkenalkan narasumber kita yang luar biasa. Before we move on to today's interesting topic about communication, please allow me to introduce our wonderful speaker here. Mari kita sambut Dr. Johanna Korkelainen, PhD, seorang konsultan patologi bahasa wicara di Cerebral Palsy Alliance, Australia. Let us welcome Dr. Johanna Korkelainen, PhD, a speech language pathology consultant at Cerebral Palsy Alliance in Australia. Dr. Johanna meraih gelarnya di University of Sydney dengan minat klinis dan penelitian yang mencakup terapi wicara motorik untuk anak-anak dengan cerebral palsy. Dr. Johanna earned her degree from the University of Sydney with clinical and research interest in motor speech therapy for children with cerebral palsy. Oke, baik. Tanpa berlama-lama lagi, langsung saja kita memulai sesi pemaparan materi yang sudah ditunggu-tunggu. Without further ado, let us begin today's presentation session. Dan kepada Johanna, waktu dan tempat dipersilakan. Johanna, the floor is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I am honored to be here again. I can't wait to present this topic and have a conversation with everyone. So I hope it's going to be useful for you and you get out of the session what you came here for.
Saya merasa terhormat dan merasa antusias untuk berbicara dan berbagi wawasan kepada teman-teman sekalian.
And I also would very much like to thank Ibu Reni for her incredible tenacity and ability to just make things happen. So thank you, Ribu Reni, for organizing this again.
Dan saya juga sangat ingin berterima kasih kepada Ibu Reni yang telah merancang acara ini.
All right, excellent. Well, we better start the first slide then. And this
Ya,
time
kita akan
around,
memulai.
we will have the text in the PowerPoint in Indonesian.
Oke, baik. Kita akan memulai sesi presentasi kita pada hari ini.
We will go through the slides, but there are also quite a lot of moments where we can have a conversation and ask questions together.
Kita akan melewati slide presentasi, tapi juga akan ada beberapa momen di mana kita akan berdiskusi bersama.
All right. So today we are talking about what are communication difficulties and what can be done to help.
Baik, hari ini kita akan berbicara tentang apa itu kesulitan dalam berkomunikasi dan apa yang dapat dilakukan untuk membantu.
If you remember when we met last time, we talked about different types of disabilities, and most of them, communication difficulties is one feature of that condition.
Kalau Anda mengingat pertemuan kita yang sebelumnya, kita sudah berbicara tentang tipe-tipe disabilitas, dan dari seluruh tipe disabilitas itu, salah satu yang menjadi fitur yang cukup krusial adalah kesulitan dalam berkomunikasi.
All right. Quick question though, may I ask, is there anyone here who attended our webinar last time, like about a month ago?
Kemudian, apakah saya boleh bertanya sebentar, siapa dari yang hadir hari ini yang sudah mengikuti webinar kita yang sebelumnya?
Maybe put your hand up or something. Doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, I can't tell. Oh, sorry, Jasmine, now I'm just talking. Yeah.
Okay.
A few people, I can't quite tell. But anyway, if you were here last time, thank you for coming. And if you're here for the first time, wonderful to have you.
Kalau Anda datang di webinar sebelumnya, terima kasih banyak sudah datang dan datang kembali hari ini. Dan bagi yang baru datang hari ini, terima kasih banyak sudah hadir.
All right then. Well, let's talk about then. What is communication? Give me some ideas, either verbally, so unmute, or in the chat. Just tell me what is communication. Give me a couple of words.
Oke, boleh melewati chat atau langsung on mic. Coba bantu saya jelaskan apa itu arti dari komunikasi. Boleh langsung on mic atau langsung di chat? I think people are still writing.
Oh, okay. Nice. Thank you. If we get just one or two answers, we'll just read the couple of first answers, if that's okay.
Kalau kita sudah mendapat satu atau dua jawaban, kita akan baca bersama-sama.
Aha, I see lots of things coming through.
Yeah. From Iga Nirwila, she said communication is interaction, verbal interaction or non-verbal interaction.
Thank you. I think she's just done, she has nailed it. That's right. It's verbal and non-verbal, and also it's an interaction. You need at least two people to have a communication. Well done.
Betul, komunikasi adalah interaksi, mau itu verbal atau non-verbal, yang terjadi setidaknya di antara dua orang.
Thank you. We'll have a look at the other answers in a moment, but I'd like to go to the next question.
Kita akan melihat jawaban lainnya setelah ini, tapi saya ingin berlanjut ke pertanyaan selanjutnya.
Which is, if that's communication, then based on that, what are communication difficulties? how would you describe communication difficulties then?
Kalau misalnya yang tadi itu arti komunikasi, lalu apa yang bisa Anda deskripsikan sebagai kesulitan dalam berkomunikasi?
Let's have a look what we've got.
Oh, it was an answer from the previous question. Nai said, communication is how you solve problems, basically.
Yeah, it's needed for that. Thank you. There's a function for communication. Absolutely. Yeah, very good.
Betul, itu adalah fungsi esensial dari komunikasi. Mungkin teman-teman bisa beralih ke pertanyaan selanjutnya. Apa itu kesulitan dalam berkomunikasi? Bisa melalui chat atau bisa on mic secara langsung. Okay, there is an answer from Iga. She said communication difficulty is when a person cannot communicate what are they, what Burani, can I have some help here?
Yeah, you're doing good.
Maybe from Iga, it's basically when someone cannot cannot tell what they want to communicate to someone else.
Yeah,
Cannot
like
tell.
what they mean. Maybe is that
Yeah.
is that the meaning? That they can't communicate what they mean?
Yeah, something like that.
Indeed. Yeah, thank you, Iga. That's
Okay.
correct. Yeah, I agree. What else is there, Jasmine? I see more things in there.
Oh, from Srihanati, communication difficulty is when someone struggling when they try to communicate with someone. Basically that.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Yes. Anything else is there? Give us a few more, please. Thank you, Jasmine. I need to open the window. It's boiling hot, even though it's getting winter.
Okay. And then from Vita, communication difficulty is when you're struggling to telling other people your feelings or talking to other people or also listening to other people.
That's right. So there are two parts there. Absolutely. One is the talking part. Absolutely. But the other part was the listening and understanding what others are saying.
Oke, betul sekali. Karena dalam komunikasi itu ada dua bagian, yaitu ketika kita menyampaikan, baik dengan berbicara dan lainnya, ataupun ketika kita menerima pesan, baik dengan mendengarkan atau yang lainnya.
Yeah.
Also, there's an answer from Lutfia Hafiza. Communication difficulty is a condition when someone is struggling to be, how do you say it? Be it communicate or understanding a message from someone completely, and you can get miscommunication from that, misunderstanding from that.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. So just to clarify, so if there's difficulty in communicating, that might result in misunderstanding. Is that right? Is that what it said?
Yeah.
Great. Yes, absolutely. My gosh. Very good. Excellent. We'll talk about those in just a moment, but hopefully once we've talked about communication difficulties, we will then talk about, well, what can be done about those communication difficulties with the person with disabilities.
Oke, selanjutnya kita akan membahas tentang kesulitan berkomunikasi dalam konteks individu dengan disabilitas.
All right. So let's have a look at the next slide then.
Mari kita melihat slide selanjutnya.
So these are how we divide communication difficulties.
Ini adalah cara kita membagi jenis-jenis kesulitan dalam berkomunikasi.
First, understanding. In English, we refer to receptive language. So, understanding when someone else speaks to us.
Oke, pertama adalah memahami. Dan kita menyebut ini sebagai bahasa reseptif, yaitu bagaimana cara kita memahami ketika orang lain berbicara.
Receptive language is very linked to cognition.
I'm sorry?
Receptive language, that receptive language is connected or goes hand in hand with cognition, understanding,
Oh, okay.
thinking skills,
Ya.
cognition.
Oke. Bahasa reseptif itu sangat lekat kaitannya dengan kemampuan kognitif atau kemampuan berpikir seseorang.
If you have difficulty with cognition, thinking skills, you will have difficulty with receptive language.
Kalau Anda memiliki kesulitan dalam kemampuan kognitif, Anda akan kesulitan dalam kemampuan bahasa reseptif.
But if you have just a movement difficulty, like cerebral palsy, it does not mean that you have receptive language difficulty. Those two, movement difficulty and receptive language, do not go hand in hand.
Kalau misalnya Anda memiliki disabilitas motorik seperti cerebral palsy, artinya Anda tidak akan memiliki masalah dengan bahasa reseptif, karena bahasa reseptif itu hubungannya dengan kemampuan kognitif, bukan kemampuan lainnya seperti motorik.
The next one is then expressive language. That is when the person is talking themselves.
Kemudian bahasa ekspresif lainnya adalah bahasa ekspresif adalah ketika seseorang berusaha menyampaikan atau mengucapkan kata-kata.
Then the third one is difficulty with speaking, the speech sounds, not the language, but the speech sounds.
Kemudian yang ketiga adalah bunyi, ujaran, dan kejelasan, yaitu ketika kita berusaha mengucapkan sebuah kata-kata atau kalimat dengan bunyi yang benar.
Most children with cerebral palsy have some difficulties with this thing, with speech sounds.
Kebanyakan individu dengan cerebral palsy itu memiliki kesulitan dengan hal ini, dengan mengucapkan bunyi dengan benar.
Speech sound is like when you learn another language, the other language might have sounds in it that we find very hard to say.
Kemudian kesulitan dalam bunyi, ujaran, dan kejelasan ini juga misalnya terjadi ketika seseorang belajar bahasa lain, kemudian kita kesulitan untuk mengeja mengucapkan secara betul.
That's a speech sound that that is the difference between a speech sound and expressive language. An example of that. Sorry. Would you like me to say that again?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. So that is an example of a difference between speech sound and expressive language.
Jadi tadi itu adalah salah satu contoh dari bedanya bahasa ekspresif dan bunyi, ujaran, dan kejelasan.
Yeah. And then we have the next one is the social communication, like how we greet and how we say sorry, how in English we say please. That's social communication.
Kemudian yang selanjutnya ada komunikasi sosial. Misalnya ketika kita mengucapkan terima kasih, kita mengucapkan maaf, atau Joanna bilang dalam bahasa Inggris, kita mengucapkan please untuk mengucapkan please, tolong untuk beberapa konteks dan sebagainya.
Is there a word in Indonesian that means please in English?
Um, are you asking this to me or
Of
to the
you. Yeah,
audience?
yeah,
Oh,
no, of you. Sorry.
sorry. There is, yeah, there is, but it
Okay,
kind of depends on the context
I see.
because,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And then finally, we have stuttering, or another word for that is disfluency.
Oke, kemudian selanjutnya kita punya kegagapan.
Question to everyone. Any questions about this slide, about the different types of communication difficulties?
Sedikit, apakah ada yang memiliki pertanyaan untuk tipe-tipe kesulitan komunikasi di slide ini?
No? Okay, excellent. Let's move on then. And so the next slide then is, there we are, communication. All right, well, there's the mum and the child communicating. Like someone said, you need to be close to each other. No, you need to have two people at least to have a communication.
Oke, kemudian kita lanjut ke slide selanjutnya tentang komunikasi, dan di sini Anda melihat gambar dua orang yang sedang berkomunikasi, ibu dan anak.
Okay, so let's have a look then. So we have, okay. So in order to communicate, we need a reason to communicate.
Oke, ketika berkomunikasi, kita membutuhkan alasan.
Even a child with a disability needs a reason to communicate.
Bahkan anak yang memiliki disabilitas pasti memiliki alasan ketika berkomunikasi.
The main 4 reasons why we and children communicate are here.
I'm sorry, Joanna?
I said the most common reasons we and children communicate are here.
Beberapa alasan yang paling sering ketika kita dan anak berkomunikasi itu ada di slide ini.
And these are request for something, protest or refuse, comment, and greet.
Kemudian alasan-alasan tersebut adalah ketika anak meminta sesuatu, menolak atau protes, memberi komentar, dan menyapa.
These are important because when we help children to talk better, we need to understand these 4 things.
Karena anak mungkin belum bisa berbicara secara lancar, kita harus memahami alasan-alasan ini.
Because when we help children to communicate, if they have no reason to communicate, why would they say anything?
Karena kalau memang anak tidak memiliki alasan untuk berkomunikasi, mereka pasti tidak mengatakan apa-apa.
Okay, now, I'd like everyone to think, we'll go back. Thank you. So the child with a disability that you know, keep that child in mind and I will ask you a question.
Jadi di sini, kalau ada yang mengenal seorang anak dengan disabilitas, coba ingat-ingat anak itu dengan baik. Saya ingin bertanya sesuatu.
That child in mind, how would you say that child requests for something?
Anak yang Anda ingat itu, seingat Anda, bagaimana cara mereka meminta sesuatu? Boleh dijawab, teman-teman?
Then tell me, Jasmine, if there's an answer in the box there, the chat, rather.
I will answer then, Joanna.
Okay. Yes, please.
Yes. So in the beginning, when Adnan is asking for something, he will grab my hand and drag me somewhere that he wants. And then later on, he pointing on something.
Great.
Move on. He will put his hand and then do like this. So it's like
Beautiful.
growing. Yep.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Jasmine, please translate what Ibu Reni said.
Oke, jadi Ibu Reni bercerita, anaknya, Adnan, itu ketika meminta sesuatu, dia akan menarik tangan Ibu Reni dan menunjuk apa yang dia minta.
That's a
Atau, ya.
sorry.
Ibu Reni, I forgot the second thing Adnan did.
Oh, kemudian ini berkembang, dia menunjuk ketika meminta sesuatu. Berikutnya dia meminta begini, sudah mengangkat tangannya. Jadi ada proses perkembangan untuk berkomunikasinya. I
Yes,
already
of course.
translated.
I know, of course. All right, we'll go back to the previous slide. Thank you. Now, now I want to talk about the other three, but now don't think about the child with a disability. Just give me an example of how a child, just typically developing child, might protest or refuse. What might they say or do?
Oke, sekarang coba contohkan, tidak usah anak yang dengan disabilitas, tidak apa-apa. Coba contohkan bagaimana cara mereka ketika menolak atau protes akan sesuatu.
Someone said
There's an
something?
answer from
Okay.
Vita. Vita said they Vita said they talk they just talk it out to, especially to their mom when they try to say no to something.
So they say no. Is that a way to protest?
Well,
No?
the person didn't exactly write no. They just said like they talk it out to their mom. And then
Okay.
also someone also said they usually cry.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, yes, that's right. You can, yeah, very good. Those are examples of protesting. No.
Oh, ada yang meminta mengulang pertanyaan. Jadi, bagaimana seorang anak itu biasanya menolak? Seorang anak tanpa disabilitas itu menolak. I was repeating a question because someone asked me to repeat the question. Sorry.
Okay. What about the word comment? What does that mean? Can we have an example of a child making a comment or commenting on something?
Oke, sekarang boleh nggak kita kasih contoh ketika seorang anak tuh mengomentari sesuatu. Biasanya mereka seperti apa ketika mengomentari sesuatu?
Any answers there in the chat? Something?
Oh yeah. Vita said when a child with disability commenting, there are some of them who shout or clap their hand.
Okay, they could.
Or
what else is there?
Anna said they, for example, when they said the food is good, they kind of give you a sign to say the food is good.
Okay, that's nice. Good manners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then someone said, I think this is based on her experience. Someone said a child once pushed her when they were in physiotherapy.
Sorry, the child what? Pardon?
When they were in doing physiotherapy, a child pushed her.
Okay. Was that, I wonder if that was commenting or protesting.
Oh,
Sounds like that was protesting. Could you ask that, like, say that, please?
oke. Mungkin kepada Nai yang bercerita ketika seorang anak mendorong ketika berada di fisioterapi, Joanna bertanya apakah mungkin itu bentuk dari commenting atau bentuk protes.
I don't know. It could be either. Also, commenting is like saying what things are.
Kayak mungkin mengomentari itu seperti berbicara atau menanggapi sesuatu.
Like little children, they point and say, like, cup, man, ball, mummy. They point and say a word.
Misalnya
Typically developing children. Yeah.
Ya. Misalnya ketika anak-anak yang dalam konteks ini anak-anak tipikal itu mungkin ketika melihat sesuatu mereka menunjuk dan berkomentar. Mungkin itu adalah bola, itu ibu dan lain sebagainya. Itu orang-orang yang seperti itu.
So that's commenting. Yeah.
Itu adalah berkomentar.
And lastly is greet, which we know what that means, like selamat pagi, selamat malam, that one. That's greeting.
Okay. Lalu yang terakhir ada menyapa, misalnya seperti yang Joanna bilang, selamat pagi, selamat malam, dan sebagainya.
Yeah. All right. So those are the reasons why we communicate.
Jadi itu adalah alasan-alasan kita dalam berkomunikasi.
All right. Now let's have a look here. So, sorry, the next slide. So here, when children communicate, they too need a reason to communicate. We use those moments when the child has a reason to communicate, to teach them, to help them to communicate in those moments. Yeah.
Jadi kita sudah berbicara, pasti anak-anak butuh alasan untuk berkomunikasi. Nah, kita perlu memanfaatkan momen-momen itu untuk mengajarkan bagaimana mereka menyampaikan dalam berkomunikasi.
So it's very important that we identify the reason the child is communicating.
Jadi caranya adalah kita mengidentifikasi alasan mereka dalam berkomunikasi.
So let's practice here. Down here, we have reasons why the child could communicate. Protest, greeting, commenting, request.
Oke, jadi coba kita latihan bersama di sini. Di sini sudah ada alasan-alasan kenapa seseorang anak berkomunikasi. Ada protes, apaan? Ada protes, apaan, berkomentar, dan minta.
Let's try to connect the picture with the reason why we think the child is communicating.
Nah, ayo coba kita hubungkan keempat gambar itu dan keempat alasan kenapa seorang anak mencoba berkomunikasi. Coba kita cocokkan.
For instance, the girl with the books and hand up, what do you think she's communicating from those 4 options down below?
Nah, misalnya gambar anak yang sedang memegang buku itu dan melambaikan tangan, menurut Anda itu dia berkomunikasi karena alasan yang mana? Boleh dijawab?
What do we think she's? Yeah, write your answer in the box. in the chat.
Boleh dituliskan jawaban Anda.
Yes, so from those four things, what do we think? Protest, greeting, commenting, or request?
Yeah, there are already a few answers here.
And what are people saying?
Bu Reni said, their greetings, it's greeting. And
Yep.
Nai said, they're saying goodbye.
That's right. So she's saying goodbye, but the reason why she's communicating is greeting. Can you say that?
Betul. Ya,
Hmm.
betul. Dia mengucapkan, dia berpamitan, tapi itu masuk alasan sapaan.
It doesn't quite matter what the child says, but the reason why she's saying something is to greet.
Jadi kita bukan berbicara apa yang mereka sedang katakan, tapi yang penting adalah alasan mereka mengatakan itu. Yang dalam hal ini adalah mereka sedang menyapa.
You're right. She could say hello or she could say goodbye, but both are greeting. The function is greeting.
Mereka bisa bilang halo, mereka bisa bilang selamat tinggal, tapi keduanya alasannya sama. Fungsinya adalah untuk menyampaikan sapaan.
Okay. What about where the child, let's have a look at the picture where the child is covering her face and crying. Let's have a look at that picture.
Coba kita lihat gambar atasnya. Itu ada seorang anak yang menutup mukanya dan menangis.
What do we think the child is communicating? Not what she's saying, what she's communicating.
Menurut kalian, dia sedang mencoba mengkomunikasikan apa? Bukan apa yang sedang dia katakan, tapi apa yang sedang dia coba komunikasikan.
Of those four options.
Dari keempat opsi itu. Someone said in the comments that it's like when they are forced to eat and they don't want to eat.
Yes, that's right. So is that child protesting, greeting, commenting, or requesting? Which of those?
Yeah, and then other two people said in the chat they are protesting.
They are thirsty. Yeah. Hang on. Did you say thirsty?
I'm sorry?
Did you say someone said thirsty?
Oh, no, protesting.
Protesting. Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Yes. Yes, that's right. Absolutely. So the function of this baby's communication is to protest.
Ya, jadi fungsi komunikasi di sini adalah protes.
All right. You're getting the idea. What about the baby in the top corner, the baby and the mum, and the baby sort of reaching that away? What do you think that baby is communicating?
Kalau yang gambar yang ditunjuk, yang seorang anak dan ibunya, dan anak itu sedang menunjuk, menurut kalian alasannya apa?
People are saying permintaan.
Yes, they're
What does that mean
requesting.
again?
Requesting.
Yeah, could be. Absolutely. Either requesting or even perhaps commenting, pointing that away. I don't know, but you're right. Good. Now you get it. I'm going to make this a bit harder then. If the child is requesting, what might she say?
Kalau misalnya anak itu meminta sesuatu, menurut kalian dia kira-kira bilang apa?
Anything in the
There's
chat?
someone, yeah, there's some people who said in the comment, they're pointing to some direction. Maybe they're like asking their mom to go there, or like
Great.
she's
Yeah,
gonna be happy
good.
to go there. And
Good.
then some Bureni said like they're asking a toy that is there.
Yeah, beautiful. Good. Good. Excellent. Now we are looking at the difference between talking and the reason to communicate.
Jadi ini adalah perbedaan dari berbicara, menyampaikan sesuatu, dan alasan ketika berkomunikasi.
So, when we help a child with a disability to communicate, we need to understand the reason why they communicate.
Jadi ketika kita memahami seorang anak dalam berkomunikasi, kita perlu tahu alasan mereka dalam berkomunikasi.
Like any other child, a child with a disability has a reason to communicate.
Seperti anak-anak lainnya, anak-anak tipikal lainnya, anak
The other
dengan
one.
disabilitas itu juga punya alasan dalam berkomunikasi.
Yeah, we'll go back to the previous slide. Thank you. So, we teach communication as part of everyday communication moments where there's a reason to communicate.
Jadi kita bisa mengajarkan cara berkomunikasi itu dalam momen sehari-hari.
Setengahnya. Jadi aku habisin.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about those everyday communication moments then.
Nah, ayo kita berbicara tentang momen komunikasi sehari-hari.
For instance, meal times, washing, cooking, going to school.
Contohnya waktu makan, memasak, lalu pergi ke sekolah, dan sebagainya.
In those moments, we need to recognize, we need to understand how does a child try to communicate?
Nah, dalam momen-momen itu kita perlu memahami bagaimana bentuk atau cara anak mengkomunikasikan hal-hal itu.
For instance, you already identified what the child is trying to communicate in these pictures here.
Misalnya, seperti tadi, ketika Anda mencoba mengidentifikasi dari gambar-gambar ini, anak-anak itu sedang mencoba mengkomunikasikan apa.
So, during a meal time, we need to try to understand in the meal time, what is the child trying to communicate? What is the reason why they are communicating? Those 4 things that we just talked about, just in a meal time.
Oke. Jadi misalnya dalam ketika waktu mereka makan, kita coba pahami apa yang sebenarnya sedang mereka coba sampaikan.
When we understand the function or the reason why they communicate in that everyday moment, we can give them the word that means what they are trying to communicate.
Kalau kita paham alasan mereka dalam berkomunikasi itu, kita bisa mengajarkan mereka kata-kata yang benar untuk mengkomunikasikan hal tersebut.
Just like when we looked at the pictures, we understood the reason the child is communicating, and then you thought what the child might say.
Jadi seperti tadi, ketika Anda melihat gambar-gambar itu, Lalu Anda rasa Anda paham apa yang mereka coba katakan, dan Anda mengira-ngira kira-kira mereka akan mengatakan apa dalam momen itu.
You say the word that means what the child is trying to communicate in that everyday situation.
Anda perlu mengucapkan kata-kata yang menurut Anda akan anak itu gunakan ketika menyampaikan maksud mereka.
Sometimes a child with a disability can't say words, so they can't imitate you.
Karena kadang-kadang anak dengan disabilitas itu kan tidak bisa menyampaikan, berbicara. Jadi mereka tidak bisa mengikuti kata-kata Anda.
When we meet next time, we'll talk about another way to help apart from talking. Apart from talking, there's another way to communicate, but we'll talk about that next time when we meet.
Ada banyak cara lain. Ya.
If your child can't speak.
Ya. Jadi kalau misalnya anak Anda memang kesulitan dalam berbicara, kita akan membahas cara-cara lain untuk membantu anak tersebut. Tapi kali ini kita akan membahas dalam konteks berkomunikasi, dalam konteks berbicara.
I think this concept is a little complex. Do we understand what we're trying to teach? So we are trying to teach for us to identify and understand what the child is trying to communicate. And when they communicate, we give them the word that is relevant to what they're trying to communicate.
Jadi mungkin di sini konsepnya agak cukup kompleks, tapi pada intinya di sini saya ingin mengajarkan kepada teman-teman cara untuk menemukan, mengidentifikasi alasan seorang anak ketika mereka mencoba berkomunikasi, dan bagaimana ketika kita sudah menemukan alasan itu, kita bisa mengajarkan mereka kata-kata yang tepat untuk mereka gunakan dalam menyampaikan maksud mereka.
Let's go to the next slide. And so here we recognize or notice what the child is trying to communicate, and we respond to those.
Jadi di sini kita perlu mengenali atau memperhatikan apa yang anak-anak berusaha komunikasikan, dan bagaimana kita menanggapi.
So the child may not use words like we already discussed. They may not use any words, but they're still communicating. So like Ibureni was saying, her son took Ibureni to what he wanted or put his hand on her. So he was communicating, but he didn't use any words.
Jadi di sini seorang anak itu belum tentu menggunakan kata-kata dalam berkomunikasi. Seperti contoh Ibu Reni tadi, ketika dia menceritakan anaknya menarik-narik atau menunjuk apa yang dia maksud. Jadi tidak harus selalu menggunakan kata-kata.
He had a reason to communicate, which was requesting. He was requesting something.
Dia tetap punya alasan dalam berkomunikasi, yaitu meminta sesuatu.
So we need to recognize that the child has a reason to communicate. Then we need to recognize or understand what is it that they are communicating.
Jadi kita perlu mencoba memahami alasan anak berkomunikasi, lalu kita juga perlu memahami apa yang sekiranya sedang mereka berusaha ucapkan atau komunikasikan ke kita.
Let's have a look at these pictures here. The top one. What is that every day? No. The everyday situation in that photo is just washing, right? Everyday situation, washing.
Jadi kita lihat gambar yang di atas ini, itu salah satu kegiatan sehari-hari, yaitu mencuci.
How do we think the mum could try to understand what the child might communicate, particularly if the child doesn't speak?
Bagaimana sekiranya seorang ibu ini dapat memahami apa yang anak mereka sedang katakan, terutama ketika anak mereka itu belum bisa berbicara.
Tell me if any answers pop up.
Jadi tadi itu pertanyaannya teman-teman, menurut kalian bagaimana seorang ibu dapat memahami anaknya dalam situasi sehari-hari ketika anaknya itu belum bisa berbicara? Boleh dijawab, teman-teman.
I wonder if the question was too complex. Are there any answers there so far? If not, I want to change what I just said. Any questions there?
Maybe there were like a comment here that is related to the answer. So someone said when they meet a child with disability, they need to slowly understand what they're trying to say throughout their gesture or body language.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, very good. Okay. I've got another question here then. Let's pretend this child doesn't speak, but he's commenting that he's washing his hands. Like he's showing gestures that he's washing his hands.
Can you repeat the question?
Good. All right. So let's pretend this child has a disability. He doesn't speak, but he's gesturing that he is washing his hands. And the reason why he's saying that is he's commenting. He's commenting that he's washing his hands.
Jadi,
yeah.
Jadi anak ini kan misalnya tidak berbicara, tetapi dia menunjukkan dengan gestur tubuhnya berusaha berkomentar dengan melalui mencuci tangannya seperti itu.
The mom recognizes that he's commenting.
Nah, di dalam hal itu, di dalam konteks itu, ibunya akan menangkap bahwa dia sedang berkomentar.
And that is when she gives the child a word that means what the child is commenting about.
Nah, ketika ibunya sudah memahami apa yang anaknya coba komunikasikan, dia bisa mencontohkan atau memberi anaknya kata yang artinya mencuci tangan untuk mengajarkan anak itu bahwa itu disebut dengan mencuci tangan.
So in this situation, the one word the mom can give the child is wash. Yeah, the mom might say wash. That's right, wash, washing hands, wash. The child was commenting but can't speak. So the mom gives him the word that means what the child is trying to communicate, which is wash.
Jadi di momen itu bisa digunakan ibunya untuk mengajarkan sebuah kata yang berarti yang sedang dilakukan anaknya. Kan anaknya menunjukkan bahwa dia sedang mencuci tangan dan itu bisa digunakan sebagai momen ibunya mengajarkan dengan mengenalkan kata cuci. Ini artinya mencuci tangan. Jadi walaupun anak tidak bisa berbicara, ketika orang tua mengenali maksud anak, orang tua itu bisa mengajarkan kata-kata yang dibutuhkan anak dalam menyampaikan maksudnya.
The child has a reason to communicate. They are in a everyday situation. Mum gives him the word that he means but can't say.
Jadi, what was the number one?
I say one at a time. What did I say? Oh, the child has reason to communicate, which is to comment.
Jadi seorang anak sudah di sini, anak punya alasan untuk berkomunikasi, yang itu adalah berkomentar.
It is in the middle of a everyday activity.
Dan di sini situasinya adalah sehari-hari, kegiatan sehari-hari.
The child can't speak, so the mum gives him the word, which means what he is trying to communicate.
Anaknya belum bisa berbicara, jadi di sini ibunya memanfaatkan itu untuk mengajarkan kata-kata yang artinya itu hal yang ingin disampaikan sang anak.
That word was wash.
Dan kata-kata itu dalam konteks ini adalah mencuci.
And in this situation, in the best way possible, this child has learned that what he's doing is the word wash. This is therapy right there, helping a child to communicate better.
Nah, ketika
sorry, was that too much? Oh, sorry. Was that too much? Do you want me to say that again, or it was all good?
Oh, okay. You can say it again. Maybe I can get it more clear.
No, I'm sorry. So this is the way we teach children to communicate better. Those three things.
Jadi, tiga hal itu bisa kita manfaatkan untuk mengajarkan anak berkomunikasi dengan lebih baik.
Just a pause. I'm looking at the time. It's there's so much more to do. Rennie, what do you think? Is it worth now pausing and have a look at some of the questions on the chat, or keep going and a bit longer and then look at the questions or comments in the chat? Because it's kind of we've got 20 moments.
I think maybe we could post this one, Joanna, and continue the other slide where there is no questions. Then we can ask the audience if they have questions, so they could ask, because I think the material is quite a lot already. So let's try to ask with the audience if they have questions, they could raise their hand. Even though it's not yet Q&A, but I think because of the timing, I think we could start. Yes.
Yeah.
I think we could start the Q&A now and then ask the questions.
Yeah. I agree.
Silakan Jasmine, bisa masuk Q&A dulu aja. Nanti kalau misalnya belum ada pertanyaannya udah selesai, masih ada waktu, bisa diteruskan atau bisa kita closing, nanti materi sisanya bisa dijelaskan di pertemuan selanjutnya.
Oke. Jadi teman-teman, mungkin karena pembatasan waktu, kita bisa di sini kita bisa masuk dulu ke sesi tanya jawab. Jika teman-teman ingin bertanya, jika teman-teman memiliki pertanyaan, boleh tolong langsung raise hand karena kita akan memprioritaskan yang raise hand terlebih dahulu. There's actually a question in the comment because no one seemed to raise their hand. So I'm gonna read the question from the
Yeah,
comment
sure.
from Kak Nai. She asks why a child with cerebral palsy, when they talk, they kind of how do you say terbata, Bu Reni?
Terbata is like, it's the same like stuttering.
Oh, okay, kind of like stuttering.
Does she mean stuttering for real? Some
It's like
children.
it's not like stuttering, Joanna. It's more like not like not fluent. So it's like looks like it's not fluent, but not stuttering really, but it's like
yeah,
not fluent.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Mm, the reason is the cause of cerebral palsy. That is the reason for it. Most children with cerebral palsy have difficulty with talking. Yeah, say the first. Because she's asking for the reason, right?
Sebagian anak dengan cerebral palsy itu memiliki kesulitan dalam berbicara. Was that all, or like are there any other?
So I don't know. So is she really asking the reason, or is she asking what can be done about it?
Mungkin untuk Kak Na yang bertanya, apakah yang ditanyakan adalah alasan kenapa mungkin seorang anak dengan cerebral palsy itu terbata-bata ketika berbicara, atau yang ditanyakan adalah apa yang bisa kita lakukan untuk membantu. Mungkin boleh diperjelas, Kak Nay?
While she's typing, Jasmine, the reason is like in cerebral palsy, the signals from the brain do not work well. Just like the signals from the brain to the arms or legs don't work well, the same way the signals from the brain to around the mouth here don't work well. And that is what causes difficulty with talking.
Jadi anak dengan cerebral palsy itu kan mungkin bisa dijelaskan dengan ada sebuah sinyal dari otak mereka yang tidak bekerja dengan baik. Sama seperti bagaimana sinyal otak itu tidak bekerja dengan baik dalam mengoneksikan otak dengan bagian tubuh lain seperti kaki, sinyal itu juga kurang bekerja ketika menghubungkan otak dengan area mulut untuk berbicara. There is also another question from Sri Amati. She asks, based on her experience, a lot of people don't really understand well about things about disability and what even is a disability. How do we get them to understand and also how to, because maybe this is like based on personal experience, how to get them the understanding to prevent bullying?
What a good question. I think Ibu Reni is doing quite a lot of work in this space. I think it's education. Reni, would you be able to, like, can we go out of the slide deck now? Maybe we can then see everyone better as we discuss. Thank you. And then if I'm going to put the gallery, then I can see everyone. Beautiful. Yeah, that is a good question. I think it's education and helping our community to understand what disability is all about. Like what we did in our previous webinar and everything that Ibu Reni is doing and her organization.
Itu pertanyaan yang sangat bagus dan saya pikir salah satu contoh yang sudah terjadi itu adalah yang sedang dilakukan Ibu Reni sekarang dengan merancang acara-acara seperti ini dan mungkin juga di pertemuan sebelumnya kita menjelaskan tentang disabilitas dan harapannya itu akan membantu masyarakat yang lebih luas mengerti, memahami hal-hal tentang disabilitas dan pada intinya apa yang bisa kita lakukan untuk mengupayakan hal ini adalah melalui edukasi secara luas.
Any other questions there? Anything related to what we talked about in the slides?
Apakah ada pertanyaan lain yang mungkin berhubungan dengan apa yang sudah kita bicarakan tadi?
But it doesn't
Joanna,
have to be about.
yeah. Joanna, can I
Yeah.
ask? Yes. Okay, so how about if the child with cerebral palsy is like literally like the severe one, like the GMFCS level 5, like doesn't talk, doesn't responding, no motoric function. How do we know that he or she is communicating with us? How we then identify the reason?
Yeah. Good question. We need to look at the context. What is the context in which the behavior? No, let me say that again. You need to look at the behavior. What is the child actually doing? Oh, Reni, who wants to translate? Oh no, and Reni's question. Jasmine, can you please translate Reni, or Reni can translate herself, whatever. Her question is a good question, sorry.
Let me translate it then. Jadi
Okay.
tadi ibu-ibu saya bertanya bagaimana untuk anak-anak cerebral palsy yang kondisinya berat, yang berada di level 5 GMFCS gross motor function itu, yang misalnya dia tidak bisa menggunakan tangannya untuk menunjuk, tidak ada sama sekali. Kemudian bagaimana kita itu memahami alasan dia untuk berkomunikasi. Tadi itu saya bertanya seperti itu. Nanti Jasmine silahkan teruskan untuk terjemahan jawabannya ya.
So first you look at the behavior. What is the person doing?
Jadi pertama Anda perlu memperhatikan apa yang sedang dia lakukan.
And then you look at the context in which the behavior occurs or happens.
Kemudian coba perhatikan konteksnya. Kira-kira hal yang dia lakukan itu terjadinya kapan saja dan dalam konteks apa.
Then you try to guess and make a hypothesis as to
kemudian
what go.
Oke. Lalu dari kedua hal itu Anda hubungkan dan Anda coba tebak. Anda buat sebuah hipotesis.
Hypothesis or guess as to what you think the child might be communicating of those 4 things.
Hipotesis atau tebakan apa yang kira-kira anak itu sedang berusaha katakan.
And then you respond to the behavior based on your hypothesis.
Lalu Anda merespon, menanggapi perilaku itu berdasarkan hipotesis atau tebakan Anda sebelumnya.
For instance, if it's mealtime and the child is right? My hypothesis would be that the child is protesting, doesn't want their food?
Misalnya ketika ini sedang dalam waktu makan, lalu anak itu seperti ini kayak geleng-geleng, itu saya akan menebak kalau mungkin dia tidak mau makanan ini.
What is important is to try to understand what the child is communicating, because then only we can help them to communicate better.
Pada intinya yang harus kita lakukan adalah memahami apa yang sekiranya anak itu berusaha sampaikan. Setelah kita pahami, baru kita akan bisa membantu untuk anak itu bisa berkomunikasi dengan lebih baik.
Any other questions?
Joanna, just a follow up to that
Yes,
answer.
please.
Yes. Then, I mean, because we, for example, based on our guessing, our hypothesis, okay, maybe this child is protesting. Then, but this is actually like a meal that he or she has to take. Do we, as the caregiver, okay, then to acknowledge the communication, that we acknowledge the communication sign from the child, then we agree on it, for example. But then we still give the food afterwards.
I know.
Will that be an effect? I mean, like a negative effect because of that? Jadi tadi ibu-ibu, wait, let me translate it. Jadi ibu-ibu, bapak-bapak, saya melanjutkan pertanyaan karena tadi kan misalnya tebakannya oke, anak itu menolak makan, tapi kan kita sebagai yang mengasuh, makanan itu harus dikasihkan. Jadi saya bertanya sama Joanna, misalnya kita kan harus mengakui bahwa oke, anak itu protes, tidak mau makan. Kemudian bisakah kita setelah kita mengiyakan, oke, saya paham apa yang kamu komunikasikan bahwa kamu tidak mau makan, tapi setelah itu tetap kita akan kasih makan. Apakah akan ada efek negatif terhadap hal tersebut seperti itu?
I think then two things. One, as a parent, you really need your child to eat the food. That goes for all children, right?
Jadi pada dasarnya sebagai orang tua tentunya kita memang punya kewajiban untuk pasti ada ketika seorang anak itu emang harus makan sesuatu yang kita berikan.
All children protest. Like, I don't like, all children protest. So we need to still get them to eat, right?
Semua anak pasti protes, apakah dia tidak mau makan sesuatu atau apa, tapi pada akhirnya kan kita tetap harus memaksa dia untuk makan suatu hal.
But with the child with the disability, you need to help them understand that I understand you don't want to eat this, and not force them to eat it because you need them to eat.
Oke. Namun kalau untuk anak dengan disabilitas, Anda bisa lebih mencoba membuat dia paham dan mencoba membuat dia merasa dimengerti ketika dia tidak mau makan sesuatu, daripada Anda hanya memaksa dia bahwa dia emang harus makan itu.
So you need to help them understand that you understand. Yeah.
Jadi Anda berusaha meyakini dia bahwa Anda itu paham sebagai orang tua. Anda memahami bahwa memahami dan mengakui perasaan tidak.
And then maybe you could offer something else to eat, or maybe you could say, okay, you're not hungry now, let's eat later. Maybe to try and de-escalate, to try and have a compromise, if you like.
Mungkin Anda bisa menawarkan makanan lain Atau mungkin Anda bisa berkata, oke, kalau memang anak belum lapar sekarang, mari kita makan di waktu lain nanti. Pokoknya Anda bisa membuat kompromi lain.
Mm, mm. But sometimes it's difficult because meal times are not so straightforward. Sometimes, yes, mealtime is a difficult example.
Sejujurnya waktu makan mungkin memang contoh yang agak sulit karena tidak contoh yang tidak semudah itu.
Any other questions there? I see 52. There's a lot there. Any other questions?
Yeah, there is another question in the comment from Haidar. As a parent from a child with autism spectrum disorder, and the child is nonverbal, how do we when the child is throwing a tantrum or melting down in a public space, and we don't know if it's like if he or she are asking for attention, or is it like a form of communication that we don't understand? How do we respond to that?
Sorry, did you say in a public space? Did you say that, Jasmine?
Yeah, yes, in a public space.
Yeah. When there is a behavior difficulty, we need to try to understand what causes the difficulty.
Ketika hal ini terjadi, kita perlu mencoba mencari alasan apa yang menyebabkan ini terjadi.
To do that, we need to remember, we need to think what happened just before the behavior started. What happened before?
Untuk melakukan ini, kita harus coba berpikir dan mengingat kira-kira apa hal yang terjadi sebelum perilaku ini mulai.
And that way we try to identify what is or what are the triggers that causes this behavior.
Dengan itu kita bisa mengidentifikasi kira-kira trigger dari perilaku itu apa. Apa yang memacu perilaku itu muncul.
And if we identify those, then we might be able to prevent the behavior from happening, or at least lessen the behavior.
Nah, ketika kita berhasil mengidentifikasi alasan itu, setidaknya kita bisa mencoba mencegah hal itu terjadi, atau mungkin setidaknya bisa ditahan untuk tidak terjadi separah itu lagi.
Because most often behavior like that is communicative. She's communicating something, but it's a little too late because she's already in that difficult behavior. So we need to understand what she means, what she's trying to communicate before the behavior happens.
Oke. Dan sebenarnya kebanyakan dari perilaku ini adalah cara anak berkomunikasi. Dan namun sayangnya mungkin sudah agak terlambat untuk dikomunikasikan karena dia terlanjur beralih ke perilaku yang maladaptif seperti itu. And what was the last part, John?
I don't remember. Oh my gosh. What
It's
did you?
Melihat perilaku sebelumnya.
Oh ya.
Yeah, that.
Jadi kita perlu melihat perilaku sebelumnya, mungkin bisa dibilang menemukan polanya. And I think because the person kind of like they kind of highlight the fact that it's in a public space, so I assume maybe it's a crucial point. the
You're
public
right.
space.
Yes, might be, which is common for a person who's got ASD. That's common. If that's the case, if the child gets like that in a public space, and maybe only in public space, before they go to the public space, help the child remember, we're going to this place. There are lots of people. It's okay. Mom's with you, or whatever, to try to, sorry, I'm talking too much. Sorry. One, help the child understand we're going to public space and you might not like it. Number two, help the child feel safe in that environment, that it's okay to be there even though there are lots of people.
Oke, jadi kalau konteksnya ini selalu terjadi di tempat umum, coba lakukan kedua hal ini. Pertama, sebelum pergi ke tempat umum itu, coba berikan pemahaman kepada anak kalau ini kita akan pergi ke tempat umum di mana akan banyak orang dan akan ramai. Jadi anak akan lebih dapat mewanti-wanti apa yang akan terjadi ketika mereka pergi ke tempat umum. Kemudian yang kedua, coba usahakan agar anak bisa merasa aman di tempat umum itu. Mungkin Anda bisa meyakinkan anak kalau tidak apa-apa karena ibu atau orang tua lain atau caregiver lain ada di sini untuk membuat kamu aman. Jadi tidak perlu khawatir. Pada intinya, coba berikan pemahaman yang lebih menyeluruh ke anak dan mempersiapkan anak ketika sebelum pergi ke tempat umum itu. Yeah, is there any other answer, Jonah, or was it all?
Yeah, for now. I mean, there's lots, but yeah, those are the
Okay.
basic answers.
Untuk Haider, apakah sudah menjawab? Dan untuk teman-teman lain yang tadi pertanyaan yang dijawab, apakah sudah cukup menjawab? Nah, kalau tidak ada pertanyaan lanjutan lain, pertanyaan tadi akan menjadi pertanyaan terakhir kita dalam sesi tanya jawab hari ini. Oke, sepertinya sudah tidak ada lagi yang bertanya, dan teman-teman, jika teman-teman masih memiliki pertanyaan, boleh disampaikan langsung melalui sosial media WKCP, atau jika mungkin memiliki kontak Ibu Reni, mungkin bisa disampaikan langsung ke chat pribadi Ibu Reni. Nanti akan kami teruskan ke Joanna dan akan dijawab. Oke, jadi bisa seperti itu ya teman-teman. So I was explaining that if they have other question left, they can put it on chat, maybe to WKCP social media or to personal chat to Ibu Reni.
Thank you so much for, so if I may say, thank you so much for attending, and I hope you got something out of today, at least if, let me say that again. Thank you for coming. Maybe one take-home message could be, children with disabilities have a reason to communicate, and we need to find out what that is and then respond to that.
Jadi terima kasih banyak teman-teman sudah datang, dan saya harap teman-teman bisa mendapatkan wawasan yang lebih dari sesi kita kali ini. Dan saya ingin menekankan kembali bahwa bahkan anak-anak dengan disabilitas itu pasti memiliki alasan dalam berkomunikasi. Dan kita, baik sebagai orang tua maupun orang-orang yang ada di sekitar anak tersebut, perlu memahami alasan-alasan itu, mengidentifikasi dan mencoba sebaik mungkin untuk merespon kepada anak tersebut. Is there any other things you want to add before we end the session?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Okay. Thank you very much for being our speaker again in today's session, and thank you very much for all the knowledge you have shared to us.
Pleasure.
Oke, baik karena keterbatasan waktu, sesi tanya jawab akan kita cukupkan sampai di sini. Due to time limitation, we will sadly have to end the Q&A session here. And baik karena seluruh rangkaian sesi telah selesai, selanjutnya akan saya kembalikan kepada Ika. As we have come to the end of all sessions, I will now hand the event back to Ika.
Oke, terima kasih Kak Jasmine dan Bu Joanna. Karena jam sudah menunjukkan 12 lewat ya, maka kita akhiri webinar Suara Sa Edu Series ini. Nah, sebelum kita keluar dari Zoom, mari kita untuk membuka kamera dulu, menyalakan kamera. Kita akan adakan sesi foto yang kedua, sesi terakhir.
We will take another picture,
ayo.
Joanna. Come on,
okay. Let me
we will
let
take
me
another
put this one.
picture. Wait, let me
Ah,
have everyone on
Ayo kita
screen.
foto dulu, foto,
yeah.
foto.
Foto. Okay. Sorry.
Okay,
Foto.
ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, smile. Wait,
Mhm.
wait a minute. One last one. One more. Hold on. Okay, ready?
Mhm.
1, 2, 3. Okay, keep smiling. Okay, thank you.
Her cheeks hurt after.
Oke, terima kasih karena sudah mau
Thank
berfoto
you.
dan mengikuti rangkaian webinar Suara Sa Edu Series sampai selesai. Saya ucapkan terima kasih. Ditunggu untuk webinar Suara Sa Edu Series yang selanjutnya di bulan Mei besok. Jangan lupa untuk pantengin terus Instagram dan Facebooknya WKCP. Saya ucapkan terima kasih dan selamat siang.
Ya.
Dadah.
Bye-bye.